Hi everybody, it's Peter Zalland, GriniFlix adventurer. Welcome to another video. Today's video is about the Noctilux 75mm f1.25 lens for the M series cameras. Yes, I've recently got this, what's new to me, but it's a second-hand lens, but basically was almost brand new. Very expensive lens, on par with the Noctilux 50mm 0.95. If you've got one or the other, is it worth getting the other? Should you have both these lenses? In today's video, I'm actually filming with the Leica Q2. I'm shooting on manual focus. What I have noticed with the Q2 is that sometimes it does get confused with the autofocus and it sort of goes to the back and comes to the front. And so to eliminate that, I've just set the focus of the Q2 to somewhere about here, so that should be good. I've recently had an opportunity to do a model shoot, and I took this lens with this camera, the Leica M11. I also took along my SL3 with the 24-90mm 2.8 to f4 lens, zoom lens. This is an outstanding lens as well. Both of these cameras out for the shoot. So this video is going to be a bit of a review on how this lens performs compared to, say, maybe this lens. And we can talk about, is it worth getting this really expensive lens for your photography, especially if you like taking people? Well, as a starting point, the 75 Noctilux is heavier than the 50mm 0.85 Noctilux. I'll have some numbers there so you'll be able to see the difference in weight, but it weighs a lot, and it does, you've got to have a strong wrist. I've got the mount here on the body here, so it helps to have a good grip on the camera. I know in using the 50mm Noctilux, the 0.95, to nail the focus using the rangefinder is an art. And what I do with all my M lenses is I practice with them. I try and, obviously using one body, and yes, you can adjust the rangefinder, but most of my cameras I've adjusted the rangefinder to my liking. I do have a video on that. There's a link in the video, so if you want to know how to adjust your rangefinder. Then for any camera where I've adjusted the rangefinder, then I'll put on the lens and I'll experiment, usually somewhere between the 1 meter to 2 meter focal length. So I can get used to the idea, I can get used to what I'm seeing in the viewfinder, how I'm taking the subject, and where the focus point is. So I practice with my lenses like that, so that when I actually get out there in front of the model, I'm not wasting time with the model trying to nail the focus. I do use the live view on the back of the camera, so I can actually focus in, hold the shot and take the shot like that. But wearing glasses, I'm short-sighted. Yes, I have to sort of I have to look underneath the glasses if I want to focus there, and then look in the distance if I want to focus in the distance. There's a bit of a bugger. And I suppose if you're getting older, then you also don't have the range of focus. So I am sort of playing with those scenarios, but if I'm using the rangefinder, then the glasses work well, and then I can actually focus correctly. I don't nail the focus every time. I really wanted to shoot at f1.25, so yes, occasionally I bump it onto f1.4, but yeah, I was focusing on getting that 1.25 aperture on this lens to get a really narrow depth of field. So the other important thing when taking people is you try and focus on the eye that is the closest to the lens. You don't always get it, but anyway, you'll see the results to see how well I did. The SL3, this is, again, I'll have to weigh these cameras, but this is a heavier combination with the zoom lens and the SL3. It does have a cage around there. What other things can I tell you about this lens? Its minimum focus is its minimum focus is 0.85 meters, which is pretty good because being 75mm, you can actually get quite close to the subject. Also being 75mm, you're sitting a bit further back than if you were taking the same framing of the subject at 50mm. So being slightly back also helps. In small confined areas, 50mm would work better than the 75. One of the things I know with the 50mm Noctilux is that there is quite a bit of chromatic aberration. You get the purples and the greens, depending on how the light is falling on your subject and how, where there's these bright spots. First impressions on the 75 is there's less of that going on. The proof of the pudding is in seeing the results. So let's have a closer look at the results, both taken with this camera and also the zoom one and the zoom lens as well with the SL3. See whether you can tell the sets apart. I've got a whole bunch of cameras. So I've got a whole bunch of Leica M cameras. I've obviously got the SL3. I've got Hasselblad cameras, both digital as well as film, and also my Nikon cameras from the Z9 right down to the smallest one, I suppose, is the ZF or the Z6. So I love using all the equipment for the different reasons and in different situations. But one consistent thing that does come up when I'm shooting on location somewhere where there are other people around, or there's some sort of authority or someone setting the rules for the location, is that it's not unusual for me to be caught up with a large camera. So a large camera like the SL3, like the Nikon Z9 or my D850 or even the D700. So a large mirrorless or a DSLR camera, they are considered to be professional cameras. So even though you can take your phone in everywhere and take photographs, if you turn up with a large camera, some people get really shirty about that. In the shoot that I had with my model Tori, we went to Canberra and we went to the old Parliament House and we went inside to shoot. So we did ask permission whether we were able to walk around and take some shots of Tori in Parliament House. And the first thing that came up was, can you show us your camera? So I had my SL3 in my hand because I figured that maybe the range of focal lengths from 24 right up to 90 would be more useful. And inside I can just go to a higher ISO. And they looked at the camera and said, oh, we don't like that, it's a professional camera. So I said, well, that's okay. I have got a smaller camera. So I pulled out the Leica M11. with my 75mm lens. And I said, look, this is a much smaller camera. Okay, well, if we use that? And they said, yeah, that looks better. So, little do they realise exactly what I've got here in my hand is, this is the professional camera. Well, as well as this one, but with this lens and everything. So we were able to go around and shoot inside Parliament House with this camera. I've had that situation also in rock venues where I've been right up front next to the performing artists. I had a large camera. I was told I wasn't allowed to take photographs. Changed to the Leica M and even the smaller lens. There's no problems because people consider that to be almost like a phone, and therefore no one hassles you. Good experience. One good reason to be shooting Leica M cameras. What do you think of the photographs? Did you pick the set that was taken with the 75 Noctilux versus the shots that were taken with the 24-90 zoom? What you notice is the depth of field and also how much 3D effect that you have by shooting such narrow depths of field with a portrait lens like the 75 or the 50 Noctilux. Yes, well, shooting with an automatic lens and autofocus and eye detect makes it much easier and quicker. Well, was it quicker? I don't know, but I guess it is a bit easier. You have to be much more careful when using the rangefinder and also the live view on the back of the screen to get the focus. The other interesting thing about taking people, particularly models, is that it's important to get the eye in focus and in great detail, but sometimes there are skin blemishes and whatever, and the model doesn't necessarily want to see those blemishes so much. So in post-processing, there's some smoothing that you do as well. So the good thing is that if you do miss the focus, then chances are it might work to the benefit of the model and their skin texture. Okay, that's a side benefit, but you don't aim for that. You aim to get the focus every time. Alright, so do I like the 75mm Noctilux? I would have to say yes, it is outstanding, and it's I think what I've learnt over the years of many years of photography is that if you find a good lens that you like using, then that lens lives on forever, and particularly if it's a completely manual lens, because there's no electronics to go wrong. And manual lenses seem to be serviceable for years and years and years, like 50 years or even longer, with M lenses being interchangeable with old film cameras as well, compatible with digital cameras. With the mirrorless automatic lenses, whether it's Leica or any other brand, I guess it's a matter of time. If it's really well constructed, then they live on for a very long time. At this stage, none of my mirrorless cameras, whether it be Hasselblad or Leica or Nikon, I look after my gear, I guess. So all my lenses are working smoothly. I don't have any problems with them whatsoever. But it's another world using the manual lenses. So I think investing in a authentic Leica lens, manual lens, and at the extremes of aperture, and I was really wide open apertures or really small lenses, something unique. I think with time they hold their value. Well, they hold their value in your own mind. That's the main thing. If you're able to pick one up at a reasonable price in the second-hand market, well, chances are whatever you buy it for, if you do decide to sell it in the years to come, you'll probably get your money back, I suspect. Obviously, buying anything new, you tend to lose. The price goes down for a while, unless it's a limited edition, in which case it's going to be much more expensive to buy. And then if it's really limited, well, then there might be appreciation. But my main reason for photography is to actually take photographs. Yes, I do like to have limited editions like this M11 gloss paint version. I can't imagine a limited edition coming out in the 75 1.25. I mean, I don't know how many people have got this lens anyway. It's not many. Do you have this lens? Let me know in the comments. Yes, so I do have this 50mm Noctilux, and now I've got the 75mm Noctilux, and am I glad I got both lenses? And the answer is yes. Will you buy this lens? It's a lot of money. I have maybe some pricing there in US dollars. Anyway, I welcome your thoughts, I welcome your comments. Thanks again for watching this video. I know I haven't posted for a long period. I've been doing a lot of travel, and I hope to get the movies out on my trip to hiking in Patagonia. Actually, the motorcycle ride was in the upper Andes at 4,000 meters and above. So do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already subscribed. Press notifications to be notified when these videos come out. And obviously give it a thumbs up. That's how you support the channel. If you're after some discounts with the companies that I'm affiliated with, then go to adventurate.com.au, go to the shopping tab, and you'll see all the companies that I'm associated with, where I can offer you some extra discount if you decide to buy from anything from those companies like iTech World. Thanks again for watching. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers, bye.